Hello and welcome to Game Week 19 predictions of the Premier League. We're officially at the halfway mark and at the end of the year, so Happy New Year. Last week in Game Week 18, I got 7 points, which is pretty good in my opinion, which takes me to a total of 93 points. And fun fact, this week is actually the reverse fixtures of Game Week 15. I don't know why they did this, but they did. But this week we're going to kick off with Burnley versus Newcastle. So Burnley, they faced Everton and they got 0 shots on target out of 16 shots. That's horrific. They did get one shot which was pretty close. It hit the post, but it wasn't on target. But they did get another draw. That's back-to-back draws now for them, which is pretty good if you were a Burnley fan. As for Newcastle, I don't know how they struggled like that against United. They really didn't have anything going for them. If you look at the stats, it says that Newcastle were actually the better team. If you saw the game, they weren't. They weren't the better team. Never really had a clear chance in my opinion. Their best chance came from Hall, and if Hall had scored that one, that would have been a wonder goal. So deserved lost in my opinion. But when these two teams face at Turf Moor, Burnley usually lose. They've lost 4 of the last 5. So you would think Newcastle would win this one. But Newcastle away from home this season is trash. They've only won once away from home. So I don't think they're going to win this one. Burnley's going to make it tough for them. They're going to sit back. I see a low scoring game here. And I think Burnley's going to continue their trend of drawing with another draw here, a 1-1 draw for me. Next up, we have Chelsea versus Bournemouth. Chelsea faced Aston Villa. In the first half, they looked good. They had the majority of the ball, had majority of the chances, pinned back Villa. But in the second half, they slowed down. As soon as Villa made those subs, Chelsea just panicked and just gave Villa the game, basically. So I do think Chelsea wasted too many opportunities in the first half. Once again, their attack, it's pretty shaky. There's not really anybody that you know is going to get you a goal. And then Bournemouth against Brentford, 4-1. Tough game for them. Again, they can't finish. They had a whole bunch of shots. Semenyo, again, getting the only goal. Could be one of his last goals because he's linked to us. I don't really want him. I don't think we need another attacker. And this time, I can't even prop up any of their defenders. This time, their defense was just awful. And when these two teams faced at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea have won 3 of their last 5, and I think something similar is going to happen here. Bournemouth is just awful at the moment. They can't score to save their lives. Even though I said Chelsea's attack is pretty dry at the moment, I still think they're going to score a bunch on Bournemouth. That's how bad I think Bournemouth is at the moment. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Chelsea. Next up, we have Forest versus Everton. Forest, they faced City, and they did a lot better than I expected. I'm pretty sure I said a 3-0 win to City, and it ended up being 2-1. It could have been a draw. Not one player in their team had a bad game in my opinion. Their striker, pain in the ass. Defenders, great. Locked up Holland. Midfield was amazing. Even their goalie, Victor, who bench sells, he's looking good. So solid game from them. As for Everton, they faced Burnley and they ended up in a draw. Their attack is just looking dry. We already know this. Their starters aren't available at the moment. Even Jack Grealish missed this game. And when these two teams face in recent years at the City Ground, Everton has picked up a point. They won twice and they drew once. But I don't think Everton's going to pick up a point this time around. Forest at home has been picking it up. They beat Spurs 3-1 or 3-0, and then they almost got a point against us. I think that's a pretty good result. And like I said, Everton's attack is pretty slim at the moment, so I think Forest is going to win here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Forest. Next up is West Ham versus Brighton. West Ham faced Fulham at home, and they lost 1-0. I do think they had some chances, but of course they were wasted. They should have had a goal in my opinion, which would have gave them the draw. But even if they would have drawn, they have no wins in their last 7 games. As for Brighton, another bad game in my opinion. They nearly got an equalizer though through Minta, but Raya got it. So I guess a kind of good, kind of bad game. They didn't have many chances. But what I'm starting to realize with Brighton is that their quality is just not good. Gruda, Ayari, Hinshelwood. These are not players that should be even in mid-table teams. So maybe I'm going to start to calm down on Brighton. Maybe they are just going where they belong, which is, bottom mid-table. But when these two teams face at the London Stadium, in the last 7 encounters, it has ended in a draw 6 times. So I'm going to just keep the trend going. I'm going to say a draw. I don't want to divert from the pattern and get it wrong. And I honestly can't see either of this team winning because West Ham hasn't won in 7. I think Brighton is also on a pretty big streak of not winning. So I'm going to say this ends in a 1-1 draw. Next up is Arsenal versus Villa. Arsenal faced Brighton, and that was more like it. That was a good performance for once. I feel like they haven't had one since Champions League. Odegaard, great performance, one of his best performances in a while. Rice at the right back, he had to fill in for Timber, and he did really good. But again, their fullbacks are injured. Calafiori missed and Timber missed. So their injuries to the backline continues. And then there's Villa, who faced Chelsea, managed to win 2-1. That is 11 in a row now. I said before the United game, if they would have picked up 5 points in their next 3 games, which was United, Chelsea, Arsenal, they are in a title race. They have 6 points already, and they still have to face Arsenal. So they are definitely in the title race, in my opinion. Watkins with a brace off the bench. Incredible defense from Aston Villa. Incredible. Considering they have Lindelof in there. I mean, I don't know how he's there. But here's the big thing. They will be missing Kamara and Cash for this game because of suspensions. And because of that reason, I think Villa draw here. I think if Kamara and Cash would have played, or would have started and would have been facing Arsenal, they would have won. I honestly think they would have beaten Arsenal. But because of those absences, I don't know who's going at the right back. Yes, Onana is good, but I think Onana and Kamara would have been better. So yeah, I'm going to go for another draw here and say it ends in a 1-1. Next up is United versus Wolves. United faced Newcastle, and they actually had a new formation. Nobody saw that coming. He reverted to a 4-3-3, and I think we finally saw the best of Ugarte and Dorgu. They both looked good for once under Amorim. Martinez, again, he looked good. Another good performance, this time in the center back position, but still their attack is lacking without, their AFCON players. Cunha is doing too much, and Sesko is doing too little. As for Wolves, they actually made it close against Liverpool, like I predicted, a 2-1, which happened. Orakadare, I think that's how you say his name, and Mane were probably the best of the Wolves, but still, they lost. I mean, it's still Wolves, come on. But when these two teams face at Old Trafford, Wolves can get a result. They have won twice in their last 5. But I'm going to have faith in United and say that they win here. But again, Wolves make it close for the 3rd time away from home in a row. They made it close against Arsenal, 2-1. They made it close against Liverpool, 2-1. And I think they're going to make it close here against United, with my prediction being another 2-1. Next up is Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Crystal Palace faced Spurs, and they ended up losing 1-0 at home. But I think they looked decent until they ended up getting tired. They just don't have the depth. They can't really play every 3 games or every 3 days. They just don't have the depth. I do have to say, Devaney, come on, man. He could have got an equalizer somewhere in the game. I think he had like 5 chances, and none of them looked close to goal. But yeah, that is no wins in 5 now for Crystal Palace. So they are in a rut. As for Fulham, they had a back and forth game against West Ham, ultimately getting their winner through Jimenez, and that is now their 3rd win in a row in the Premier League. And when these two teams face at Selhurst Park, Fulham has won twice, Crystal has won once, and there's been 2 draws in their last 5. So it's pretty split. I did want to go for a 1-1, but I ended up not, because if you look at those last 5 encounters, there is a clean sheet in all of them, in all of the games. So this matchup is pretty low scoring. And considering that Crystal hasn't won in a while, Fulham are in a win streak, I'm going to go and edge for Fulham here. Very low scoring, 1-0 win to Fulham. Next up is Liverpool versus Leeds. Liverpool, in my opinion, actually looked good for once. Or not for once, they've been pretty good for a while now. But this first 60 minutes, they looked like old Liverpool, right? Ekitike and Wirtz especially. Wirtz has finally turned up, getting his first goal in the Prem, but they nearly slipped up. It was 2-1 in the end, could have been 2-2. They needed to kill the game and get their 3rd goal. As for Leeds, great game for them. They got a 1-1 draw against Sunderland. Once again, another good game for them. It was looking shaky for them, but when Tanaka came on, it changed the game. And not only Tanaka, Stach, I think, also was great defensively, creating from the back. He looked solid this game. And then Calvert-Lewin once again getting another goal. I think that's like the 5th in a row now. But for this matchup, it's going to be another tight one. Last time they faced, like 4 weeks ago, it was 3-3. I think it's going to be another, not high scoring, but another battle. But I don't know if this is surprising, but I'm going to go for a Liverpool win here. Leeds has been incredible, but away from home, they do mess up a lot of chances. They don't score often. So I do think Leeds is good enough to get some points from Liverpool at Anfield, but I don't think Liverpool's going to allow them to. So I'm going to go for another 2-1 win for Liverpool. Next up is Sunderland versus City. Sunderland, great game at the start of the game, like the first 30-ish minutes, and then the last 20-ish minutes. In the middle was Leeds. So decent, considering they are missing a lot of players. Adingra finally gets a goal. I have high stocks in him, but he just isn't doing it right now. He isn't performing right now. And I do want to give a shout out to Alderate. He was good from the back, playmaking from the back. As for City, we went against Forest away from home. I believe it was away from home. And I mean, we were saved. We were saved by Turkey. Turkey getting a goal and assist. I mean, Turkey is looking like the best signing of the summer. I don't know if you guys can think of another one, but I think it's Turkey. Very tough matchup. I did not expect that at all. Another plus is that Reinders finally gets another goal, or he scored last game and then he gets a goal again this one. So he's looking like he can get some goals here and there now, which we need. But this matchup at Sunderland, at the Stadium of Light, it's gonna be tough, but I think we can get them. So I do think we win. I'm gonna go for a 3-1, but it's not a dominant 3-1, right? It's a close 3-1. A game where it's 2-1, but Sunderland can get their second, they can get it, and then we ultimately punish them for it, if that makes sense. So 3-1. Next up is Brentford versus Spurs. Brentford, they faced Bournemouth, and they scored 4 against them. Their counters were deadly. I'm pretty sure they got 2 goals off of those counters. Sade with a hat-trick, not his first in the Prem. And then Kelleher, their goalie, great game from him. I think it was 8 saves he got. As for Spurs, they faced Crystal Palace away from home, and they got the win 1-0. But it could have been more. Richarlison was offside twice, I believe, and it could have been 3-1 or 3-0, sorry. But I still think they struggled more than they needed to, considering Crystal had a mid-game week. But yeah, Spurs won, but they're still ass. And when these two teams face at the G-Tech, there has been 3 draws in their last 4. So you would think there's going to be a draw here, but I don't think so. Brentford this season at home is a different animal. If you look back at their previous home games, they have scored 3 goals in their last, I think, 5 or 4 of their last 5. And Spurs, again, they're terrible. This was a fluky win. I don't believe in it. Maybe a surprise result here, but I'm going to say that Brentford win here 3-0. Those are my predictions for game week 19. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and peace.